The following is not suitable for children under the age of 18. This show contains coarse language and sexual themes that may be deemed over the top, as well as my own personal views. Please note all characters of the show are fiction and are not targets of anyone or anything, but are made up for complete satire. Hello my masters and welcome to the Sky Genie Show, the absolute worst show ever. We are on episode 21 of the Sky Genie Show, and in this episode is the return of the Raw review. Yay! Not really. Man, can you believe it? A whole month I didn't watch Monday Night Raw. For those of you who are new and are listening to this, at the beginning of the month I decided to not watch Raw. So it was the end of October. I decided that for a month I was not going to watch Monday Night Raw. Only go out of my way to watch SmackDown. Because watching Raw would actually kill my mood. The Raw and SmackDown, I wasn't really caring to watch anything else. And the experiment was to see whether I would watch any more wrestling. And I did. Clearly, if you've been listening to the show for the last month, you would find that I've reviewed New Japan Pro Wrestling World Tag Leagues, which will continue here. I did some Ring of Honor. I forget if I did anything else. Well, now this time, we have a 3-hour Raw, a 2-hour SmackDown, and a 1-hour 205. So that's 6 hours of WWE television I get to review. Yay! Can you imagine it? That is what we have to put up with. That is 6 hours of fucking WWE in 2 days. Think if there's a pay-per-view on that weekend, that's 9 hours. You add NXT, that's 10 hours. And everything else on top of that. There's ads and ads and ads and fucking ads. But let's see if my mood changes and if it's worth watching. So I missed all the Goldberg hype except for the Survivor Series. I watched the Survivor Series and Takeover shows, because I still went out of my way to watch. Besides all that, everything on Goldberg, everything on Sasha Banks or Charlotte, I missed. Did not go back to watch unless I saw an update on my Facebook feed, Twitter feed, or when I was searching for news. Not 1 minute of Monday Night Raw was watched. So since this is episode 21, technically this is a grown adult, I believe. Yes, in America, it's legal drinking age. But if you're Australian like me, you were allowed to drink when you were 18. So, to my masters, I encourage you to pause this right now. Doom, 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 doom. Okay, you're back. With hopefully, some alcohol. If not, you can pause again. Doop, 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 doop. Okay, now you got your alcohol. So let's drink to 21. Warning. If you happen to wake up with a condom hanging out of your ass and a big fat hairy dude laying in your bed, that is not my fucking problem. You did that. You. Other than that, we have a packed show for you. We'll continue my reviews of New Japan World Tag League. 7, and 8. I believe it's all been decided, but doing it as I go along. In this episode, you'll also get a Raw and SmackDown review. I heard about Sasha Banks' title win, and as of recording, Raw has not happened yet. I am saying this now. If Sasha Banks opens up Monday Night Raw talking about how she worked so fucking hard to get the Women's Championship again, I will turn off that fucking show. I don't care if it's a 5-star fucking show. I'll rewatch it later. Skip that bit. No, I'm kidding. I'll probably review it. So, ladies and gentlemen, to the ad revenue, go fuck yourself. To my masters, sit back, relax, with a beer or whatever. Enjoy episode 21 of the Sky Genie Show. You can check us out on various platforms at our website, skygenieshow.weebly.com. There you'll find show archives of past shows, as well as bloopers, extras, as well as my own wishful thinking blog posts. Those you'll find exclusive, with some topics and thoughts that I don't make on the show, and it's totally free to go to. On Facebook, the Sky Genie Show page. There you can join in discussions with whatever you want to talk about in pro wrestling, or on the show, or whatever. I'm pretty much freelance. But if you're a douchebag, I kick you out, or I don't accept you. Either way. On Twitter, I'm at SDD916. There, I give show updates of what's going on with the show, with recordings. If I go to announce something, I usually announce it on Twitter. On Instagram, it's SkyGenie_1988. If you'd like to support the show, go to the homepage here on YouTube on my channel, and you will find a donation button. Your donations to the show go to improve audio quality and everything else about the show. For those wanting an update on Genie Jr., I don't give a flying fuck what happened to him. I don't. As I said last episode, I kicked him the fuck out. I don't care if he lives. I don't care if he dies. I don't care if he gets hit by a fucking bus. Fuck you, Genie Jr. Get the fuck out of my life and stay there. And now for the New Japan Pro Wrestling World Tag League, Day 7. The next few shows going in will be tournament-only shows, which means shows that were broken up. And a lot of them were house shows, so the quality of the matches aren't probably going to be as great as what you'd see on TV, but here we go. Hangman Page and Takahashi versus Tanahashi and Juice Robinson. This was not a match that was spectacular, especially with Tanahashi in the match. Hangman Page is definitely not a big match guy and probably needs to stay in a tag team. I will say that Juice Robinson has improved a lot since his NXT days. For those wondering, that is CJ Parker of NXT fame. We then had Naito and Rush versus Brian Breaker and Leland Race. And Breaker and Race sucked this whole match. And it took Naito and Rush to save it. And I was glad when Naito and Rush actually won. We then go on to the Gorillas of Destiny versus Nakanashi and Henna. This was a good match. A little stiff, very hard hitting. Gorillas of Destiny win this match. And for the main event of this show, it was War Machine versus Tenzan and Kojima. And this was a damn good brawl. There's one thing you can say about War Machine and Tenzan and Kojima at this point. You're not going to get a technical masterpiece, but in terms of brawling, you got that here. Overall, it was an okay show, but nothing special. And that was Day 7. And now, for what you've all been waiting for. It is the return of the Raw review. Yay! Are you excited? Are you excited for this? I know you're not, but let's get into it. The show opens up with a video package of what happened last week. Tension has built between Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho's friendship. Chris Jericho was taken out by Seth Rollins in the parking lot, and Roman Reigns earned a title match for the Universal Championship at Roadblock. End of the line. And they kept saying, end of the line all fucking night. Well, not the way I said it, but they pretty much said end of the line all fucking night over and over and over and over and over again. So the show begins and out comes Seth Rollins. And he talks how he wants Triple H. But he knew that Triple H wasn't going to come out. And that the only way for him to get Triple H is to win the Universal Championship. But first, he had to take out Chris Jericho, who was in his way. Kevin Owens comes out. And they go back and forth about them screwing their friends out of the back, in their back. Kevin Owens promised 3 gifts for Chris Jericho. One for tonight on Raw was a United States Championship title match against Roman Reigns. The second was a match at Roadblock with Seth Rollins. And the third was Seth Rollins versus The Big Show for right now. So it was Seth Rollins versus Big Show. Big Show looking a lot leaner than the last time that we saw him. Apparently 350 pounds he's down to. Match was okay, but Big Show looked old in his movement. And who can blame him at this age? And he hasn't probably been in the ring for a while. Seth Rollins wins via countout. Kevin Owens was egging on Big Show, telling him what to do. Until Big Show grabbed him and chokeslammed him in the middle of the ring. Stepped out of the ring and walked to the back. As Rollins got the count-out victory, he pedigreed Kevin Owens. There is a video package of Jack Gallagher, which leads into the next match with Jack Gallagher versus Arya Daivari, a rematch from 205. Not as good as their 205 match, but I thought it was a good match, with Jack Gallagher getting the win. Gallagher, postman because of the gentleman gimmick, goes to shake Daivari's hand, but Daivari beats him down. We then go to backstage where Titus O'Neil is handing out flyers. Gee, no punishment for him, huh? We then have Kevin Owens complaining to Mick Foley about how he got chokeslammed and how he shouldn't be in a match. Foley tells him he is competing in the match against Sami Zayn. Jericho shows up, but he only just got there. Kevin Owens tells Chris Jericho about the matches, but Jericho wants none of Kevin Owens. Kaz and Enzo are backstage, and they see Lana and Rusev arguing. Enzo comes up to break it up, and Rusev leaves, after Lana threw her ring at him. With the ring being on the ground, Enzo picks it up and gives it back to Lana. After the break, they go back to Enzo and Lana. Lana wants to teach Rusev a lesson and make him jealous. Lana invites Enzo to her hotel room. We then had Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. And this was a great match. Not the best in the series. Kevin Owens gets the win in this match. And after the match, they go to the backstage, where Reigns confronts Chris Jericho. Reigns insults Jericho about getting pedigreed on a car. Jericho gives an awesome line about being handed everything to Roman Reigns. And Reigns says nothing special after that. Funny, because they kind of make Roman look like a real dick. I mean, who's the heel here? We then get a backstage interview with the new women's champion, Sasha Banks. Now, thank God this was backstage and not in front of a crowd. But it's still just as bad. She challenges Charlotte, who says she'll want a rematch, to an Iron Man match, which means they're possibly main eventing the next pay-per-view. We then get the new Cruiserweight champion, Rich Swann, versus TJ Perkins. This was a really good match. The only problem with this match was TJ Perkins not selling anything. Like, he would get knocked down, and he would get right back up, And I think that kind of cheapens it a bit, because this was probably TJ Perkins' best match since he's been on Raw. Rich Swann gets the win. We then have Bayley versus Alicia Fox. This is pretty much a squash match, and Bayley gets the win. Backstage, Enzo talks to Big Kaz about going back to the hotel room. Big Kaz says it's probably not a good idea, as Enzo gets a text of a nude from the neck-up picture of Lana. Enzo runs off. Rusev comes up and asks Kaz where Lana was. Kaz said he didn't know, and Rusev challenged him to a match. We then had Titus O'Neil versus Mark Henry in a squash match, with Mark Henry getting the win. Buried. Did I mention this guy was buried? After that, Enzo's on the phone, waiting for his Uber driver, when a limo shows up. And who's inside? The Nature Boy Ric Flair, the newest WWE superstar, or Nature Flair. They converse about what Enzo's going to be doing that night, and Flair, wanting Enzo to show up in style, offers him the limo. Styling and profiling, woo! We then had the United States Championship match, Roman Reigns defending his championship against Chris Jericho. Now, say what you will about Roman Reigns' character, his gimmick, and whether he is over or not, that doesn't mean he can't put on a good match here and there. Because in this match he put on a really great match in this match with Chris Jericho. Obviously Chris Jericho is a well-skilled veteran, so it helps. Kevin Owens comes down, tries to give Jericho a hand in winning. Jericho ends up telling him to go away. Jericho eats a spear, and Roman Reigns retains the title. We then had Big Kaz versus Rusev. Also, we thought Rusev's music hit and he doesn't show. Kaz thinks, oh crap, and goes to ringside to grab a phone to phone Enzo on where he is. Then, isn't it a miracle that they somehow had a camera in the hotel room? Doesn't sound planned at all, does it? But you see Enzo on the phone and hangs up. He knocked on the door and Lana opens it. He goes in. Enzo keeps saying this is a bad idea, it's a bad idea, but every time he does that, Lana gets more seductive and sexual. Enzo starts taking off his clothes except for his boxers. Lana then calls him a fool, calls over Rusev, and Rusev beat his ass like a bitch. I mean, brutalized him. Drags him out to the hallway, basically just in his boxer shorts, knocked down on the floor. I thought that was fucking brilliant. That whole storyline was set up perfectly, in my view. We then go to the club versus Cesaro and Sheamus, and this was for the number one contendership for the Tag Team Championship for next week on Raw, because New Day are close to tying the record of Demolition. This is the quest for WWE to break it. Well, let's face it, Demolition are on the concussion lawsuit thing, so it kind of makes sense for WWE wanting to erase it. Now, this match was a waste of time. Why? Well, halfway through most of that match, they went to an ad break. And only to come back within the first 2 minutes to end it on a double count-out. Double disqualification, when New Day got involved. Really, we didn't need an ad break for that. The other matches that ended up being squashes, this could have been a squash match. It didn't need an ad break in between it. And there were a lot of what they do is they have the ad breaks in between the matches, which is really stupid, because why would you not want to have... It becomes formulaic with this, because they come out and do suicide dives, and then they go to an ad break. I mean, it's too formulaic, and those... When people want variety and different, you're not getting that with this. So that's over with, and then we come to the main event segment. Charlotte comes out to the ring to confront Ric Flair. About 6 months ago, Charlotte was pretty much pissing off Ric Flair. She asked Flair to come out so she could apologize to him. He comes out and they hug, and it was all a setup for her to slap him. Basically chastise him for raising Sasha Banks' hand last week. Sasha Banks comes down to stop this, but Charlotte ends up beating the crap out of Sasha Banks, leaving her so beaten and battered, she ends up putting her in the ring and dragging her and laying her in front of Ric Flair as she leaves. It was an awesome segment to end the show. Overall, this was a good show for Raw. Some of it were misses, like the New Day Club Sheamus Cesaro match, BS, and the few squash matches, but alright. For the first review back, we have wrestling news and more after the break. For fans of the Sky Genie Show, please also make sure to check out Wrestling Soup. They drop at 9:30 on Thursday. Join hosts Anthony Missionary Thomas and Joey Numbers as they lightheartedly talk about what that's happening in professional wrestling, as well as other current events. While over there, please make sure to check out the Saturday morning Shitbox. Have your voice and question heard as Mish and Joey answer questions on their thoughts of professional wrestling or anything else going around in the world. That show drops on Saturday morning-ish. The weeks it doesn't air is because they're doing pay-per-view Sunday. Yes, whenever there's a WWE pay-per-view, Mish and Joey usually review it, sometimes with John Draper. They also have shows on Stitcher and iTunes. If you want to catch the boys live, check them out on Mixlr. And all these good podcasts out there, you wouldn't think they fuck up a lot. Well, think again. I have a show for you. Yes, the Sky Genie. Make sure to check out the Blooper Show. The Blooper Show is made up of clips. Just like then, you can tell I fuck up a lot. So I get all clips that I fuck up on, put them together, and make a show based on being a fuck up. And I call it the Blooper Show. Check it out on my channel. Although the show may not be common, try to pick the good ones and put them in. At least getting a decent show. So check out the Blooper Show today. Are you looking for a good laugh? Then check out Getting the Corner. Getting Dark Corner. Dark Corner. Dark Corner. With hosts Yuck Nasty and Dogger Baby. Every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. on Mixlr. Check them out on Wednesdays at 9 p.m. on Mixlr. Back. Tajiri has apparently been re-signed by WWE and is set to be coming in the springtime to the NXT brand. Boy, the flourishing talent that WWE is signing. I mean, first Ric Flair and now Tajiri? WWE will call him Buzzy because WWE wants the copyrights to the name, I don't know. And his gimmick will be of a racist Asian stereotype. Because, all Japanese people know how to kick in the form of karate. The Young Bucks have signed a 2-year deal with Ring of Honor, with pay increases for 2017 and another increase for 2018. These deals allow them to work in New Japan and in PWG. I think this is a good thing, as I don't think WWE would know what to do with the Young Bucks, so that's a good thing in my view. Keeping on with the Young Bucks, it was apparently the Young Bucks' idea to have the Matt Hardy video at Final Battle, with the Hardys set to make an appearance at Ring of Honor on the Lakeland, Florida show at WrestleMania. Matt Hardy's appearance and Brandy Rhodes was approved by TNA Wrestling. No word yet on what's going on with Total Nonstop Deletion if the Young Bucks are making a surprise appearance. I see this as a deal where Anthem are trying to establish a relationship with Ring of Honor and other companies, which to me would be a smart idea. TNA and Ring of Honor used to share talent until Ring of Honor started doing iPay-per-views and got a TV deal. And my feeling is with this and with Anthem and the whole Dixie Carter situation, soon, as I've said in other episodes in 2017 at the start, Anthem will announce that they have bought TNA Wrestling. Dixie Carter will still be part of the company, but a minority owner. I think there's big changes in store for TNA, including a name change, which is much needed. As for Dixie Carter, you'll slowly see her disappear. What Anthem will do between the next 2 to 5 years will buy a percentage of her each time. And at that point, she'll no longer be with the company. That way, she actually leaves without losing any dignity. Me personally would rather have seen her losing court to Billy Corrigan, but hey, it is what it is. After her stellar performance at NXT TakeOver Toronto, Mickie James was offered a WWE contract. No word yet if the deal is for NXT, Raw, or SmackDown. Honestly, I hope it's for SmackDown because they need people. And they're good veteran talent. Nikki Bella's not good. There is a lot of concern about John Cena's future in WWE. According to Dave Meltzer, officials are concerned on how much John Cena will be around in 2017 as he continues to receive offers for other projects outside of WWE. You know what I've got to say to that? Well, I have to give this guy a break when it comes to stuff like that. John Cena has been the star for the last 10 years for WWE. The guy never gets time off. And when WWE is pushing on their focuses on Roman Reigns, I think John Cena has earned the right to sort of be a little bit more freelance and part-time. The guy is near 40. His body's probably beaten the shit, as he did have a neck injury. A lot of people have retired from that at his age. Edge was a lot younger than John Cena when he did that. And that is the trouble when you only focus on one guy. When he decides he's had enough and wants to do other things, WWE panics because they can't seem to find another person to get over, and they can't get over Roman Reigns. I mean, let's just put that out there. Roman Reigns cannot get over as the main babyface, which is why WWE is fearing that John Cena will not be around as much, and they need the star power. I've been saying to focus on Seth Rollins. There is a guy right there that I can see easily as somebody who could be the face of the whole company. Just don't script him stupid lines like Spuckle Crutch. Booking has believable and consistently, and you will have a major star on your hands. I do believe that he is a way bigger star than Roman Reigns. WWE may not like it, but that's the fact. It's been, 3 years that they've been trying to push the guy, and he's not getting over. It's now time to cut bait, put Roman Reigns in a role that suits him, and focus on somebody else. Or make a bunch of stars. Not just one, a bunch of stars. that if a John Cena or Roman Reigns can't pick up the slack, they can take over. Not one guy is going to save your company. The days of a Hulk Hogan, a Steve Austin, a Rock, a Macho Man, a Ric Flair, Ultimate Warrior are gone. The days of Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, gone. You can't focus on one guy. The company is too big for that. You have two separate brands, so you can't have that. So that is my view on that. AJ Styles apparently suffered an ankle injury during his match with Dean Ambrose at TLC. No word yet if he'll miss any ring time. God, I hope not, but if it's kind of a leg ankle injury, doesn't sound like it's that bad, so he'll probably be out for a couple weeks. Then he'll probably just be wrestling on SmackDown anyway, because he's got to defend the title. And between now and Royal Rumble, it shouldn't be a bad thing. I would like to give a shout out to Kevin Smith. No, not the actor, but a fan of the Solomonster Sounds off. A fire broke out where he lives. Thankfully, he wasn't hurt by the fire, didn't lose anything, but other people did. So, a shout out to them. Now for the overall review of my SmackDown experiment. Since November is over, I will be happy to talk about it. What I found when I didn't watch Raw, I didn't find myself exhausted. I didn't find myself overworked. In fact, I was watching way more wrestling and a hell of a lot more shows throughout the world. Some I covered, some I didn't. So in being honest, if I dropped the Raw, there would probably be so much content that not even I could cover it all. It's just impossible. There is so much good wrestling out there that is not the narrative of WWE. WWE is one company. Hey, so they're the biggest. They're the ones with the most money. Doesn't mean they're necessarily the best. And it doesn't mean that they are the end-all, be-all. And I feel if you're a real wrestling fan, you don't just stop with WWE. You go everywhere. And now, that doesn't mean you can't say a show sucks. Because there have been shows that I have watched that do suck. A lot of the New Japan Pro Wrestling Tag League shows that I'm reviewing aren't all that great. A lot of the indie shows that I have been watching aren't that great. Every so often you find a gem in amongst all of it, but then that's the beauty of discovery. The internet is a perfect forum to find anything wrestling. All you have to do is look for it. Because if you don't, all you are doing is feeding a 70-year-old billionaire who probably can't even get an erection anymore. And what you find, production isn't always that great with indie wrestling. The payment scale isn't exactly that great. But then, with those companies, you look for more of the wrestling than you do production or stupid storylines that don't make sense and insult your intelligence. Yes, you find those shows that have tongue-in-cheek. The whole Joey Ryan thing. People are either a fan of him or not. But that is the subjective side. And I think it's needed. I think more wrestling is needed. And if the rumors that WWE are planning to put more indies on the network, if you got the money, I say go for it. Because you're missing out on a lot of good wrestling out there. A lot. There's a lot of guys like the Young Bucks, the Kenny Omegas, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Okada, guys like Kushida, and many more. And this is a guy coming from his 20s who should probably be watching WWE full time and be a massive fan, but I'm not. I like watching WWE, but then I also like an alternative. an alternative to what I see, because you can't always watch the one thing. I don't believe bands. You shouldn't always listen to one band. You always listen to multiple, because you like different styles of how they do things. An AC/DC is going to be different from a Guns N' Roses or a Def Leppard or a Kurt Cobain to Motley Crue. Whilst the genre might be the same, similar, or outright different. And people get angry when they criticize WWE because they shit on things and say, well, you should probably just enjoy it. I think that's kind of a cop-out to people. Okay, yes, you can just go out and enjoy it. But they brand themselves as entertainment and not wrestling. And you know what's going to happen with that? They're going to be treated like they're entertainment. You go to a movie and you'll either like it or you'll hate it. There's no in between. You may say something in a movie that you liked a particular scene in a movie, or even TV shows. Shows like Breaking Bad or The Walking Dead. There's always going to be a mixed emotion. And that is a lot of WWE's problem, because when they brand themselves as entertainment, they're going to be treated like entertainment. If they present themselves as wrestling, they'll be treated like wrestling. Instead of all these stupid skits, instead of useless storylines, shoving forced words like Roman Reigns with nursery rhymes down our throats. I don't give a damn. I mean, I would probably like Roman Reigns myself if he didn't spew this bullshit. And what's happened is, there's this big, strong, muscly Samoan guy telling me nursery rhymes. Really? Who the fuck in a fight talks about nursery rhymes? Nobody. Who in UFC or boxing or any kind of combat sport do you talk about nursery rhymes? No, you talk about kicking the other guy's ass. That is what you talk about. You book wrestling like a shoot. It's a contest. Okay, it's predetermined. But that doesn't mean you can't present it as real and believable. The problem is, when you don't, you see it get watered down. You see it become hokey. And I saw with Ring of Honor Final Battle, I'll mention this. That was pretty much how they presented it, as a shoot, as a sporting event. It was presented as a sporting event. There was an issue with where Kyle O'Reilly bladed, and it was obviously seen. I think that should always go, because stuff like that should go, because really, when you think about it, that's where it creates the hokiness. Hard way? Okay, I can understand that one, because it actually happened. And could happen. And I could see where the blade job was probably needed in that match, so it adds to the match. But I think blading is really stupid unless it really happens. I understand WWE's blood policy, but sometimes you got to give a little bit of blood. These people are going through tables, hitting in cells, and sometimes get busted open in the match, and they stop the match halfway through to stitch them up. No sport in the world does that. And they go on about have to present it for the kids. Well, I remember being 7 and wanting to see that shit. I saw cartoons that did that. I was watching a Pokemon episode where a guy jumped off a building recently, and I thought, wow, this is dark shit, because that stuff would happen in the 90s when I was a kid. But now I'm talking about entertainment in that spot. But wrestling should be presented as wrestling as a sport. And people say, well, we have to appeal to women and children, and parents won't let kids watch. And I say, that's bullshit. Parents let kids watch wrestling all the time. And really, and it's not to be mean, but wrestling was never a women's thing. It's a fact. And I look on Solomonster's page. I think mostly all of them, there's probably about 2 or 3 females that are actually in that group. Most other women that I know would never watch wrestling, would never be caught dead watching wrestling. My ex-girlfriend hated wrestling. Some people's girlfriends try to get their boyfriends to stop watching wrestling altogether because they hate it. That is the reality, but they want to appeal to everybody. Well, there's a way to appeal to everybody, but not insult your intelligence. But anyway, this is going on too long. So that is my SmackDown experiment. Coming up, my SmackDown and New Japan World Tag League Day 8 reviews and the summary of the SmackDown experiment. All this after the break. For fans of the show, please also check out the Don Tony Kevin Castle show. Don Tony and Kevin Castle show is a hard-hitting, with brutal honesty type show, as they give their views on the world of professional wrestling and WWE. They're also on Stitcher and iTunes. If you want to catch them live, listen to them on Mixlr. For my masters who are wondering if there will be Sky Genie shows throughout the Christmas New Year period. So sorry. Not for the normal show, but check out the holiday edition of the Sky Genie Show. There you will find I review old wrestling shows from the past. I review them to today's standards. And to make it interesting, I won't even know what I'm reviewing until I do it. Of course, I'll know before you, because I have to record the fucking thing, don't I? But it's filled with gags and more as well. So check out the holiday edition of the Sky Genie Show right here on my channel here on YouTube. If you're looking for a very professional show to listen to the Solomonster Sounds off. His show, smokes this one entirely, is a very informative show. Join Jason Solomon as he gives his thoughts on the current events of professional wrestling. Catch his show on Podbean, Stitcher or iTunes. Also check out Jason Solomon's YouTube page, where he does extras for pay-per-view shows or interviews with wrestlers in the business. Jason has interviewed the likes of Diamond Dallas Page, Bob Hardcore Holly, the legendary Jim Ross, and even Booker T. Definitely a show worth checking out. And now for day 8 of the World Tag Leagues. This is only a 3-match card because the upload that I went to see had a match from day 7 on it. So this will be shorter. Bone Soldier and Bad Luck Fale versus Okada and Yoshihashi. This was an average and a little boring, with Okada and Yoshihashi getting the win. The second match, Omega and Chase Owens versus Makabe and Honma. This was a great match. Was probably the best match out of the 3. Makabe and Honma win. And for the main event was Billy Gunn and Yoshitatsu versus Yuji Nagata and Shibata. This was a pretty boring match, and usually with Shibata in matches, usually it's pretty good. But there's no chemistry between the teams. Nobody has been bad. Even Billy Gunn in his advanced age isn't really that bad. But the match just came off boring. So overall, it was a pretty boring show and an easy missable day. And now for the SmackDown review. Show opens up with AJ Styles. He's walking out with a boot on his leg. He comes out to talk about the elephant in the room. And no, it wasn't about his boot. It was about the rip in his pants from TLC. Styles laughs at the fans for thinking it was about his boot before telling them he is not cleared to compete. Therefore, the WWE Championship match will be postponed. James Ellsworth comes out. He comes out to mock Styles of his injury and says that AJ is ducking him. AJ fires back by calling him delusional. Well, let's face it, if anybody knows anything about delusional, it's AJ Styles. Right, Dixie Carter? You know she's just watching SmackDown on a weekly basis with a bottle of straight bourbon or gin, crying herself to sleep because of the fuck-up she made. AJ Styles is probably on top of the world, and she let that slip through her fingers. Now she's exposed as a pathetic, ugly mess. Anyway, AJ also brings up that Dean is probably coming to kick his ass. Just as he says that, Dean Ambrose music hits, he comes out, hits Ellsworth with the dirty deeds, and leaves to end the segment. We then have the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt, versus Slater and Rhino, in a rematch from TLC. And makes me wonder, why did they bother having a pay-per-view when they're just going to put the matches on the next episode of SmackDown or Raw? Makes absolutely no sense, but oh well. The match here was great, but not as great as the pay-per-view match. Orton and Wyatt, surprise surprise, retain. We have a backstage interview with Kalisto, and then we have Carmella versus Natalya. Well, Natalya comes out, chases Carmella around the ring, goes towards the back. As Natalya goes to the back, there's Nikki Bella just standing there pissed off and walks off. That was pretty pointless. Oh, I forgot to mention the promo that Carmella was cutting. Besides telling the fans to shut up, I hated it because they don't care about the storyline. But moving on, we then had a backstage interview with Baron Corbin before we had the Ascension versus the Hype Bros. And I think I missed it, but I think the Hype Bros won, but it wasn't really important, really. We then had a Miz TV segment with Dean Ambrose. Miz goes on to with Ambrose asking if he's angry and why he didn't beat James Ellsworth up a lot worse. Ambrose says he's not angry. Miz continues to run him down, pisses Dean Ambrose off. Miz gives him a participation award, which Ambrose threatens to shove down the Miz's throat before Daniel Bryan comes out and gives Ambrose an Intercontinental Championship match. Is it just me, or has the Intercontinental title become the participation award anyway? I mean, remember the last person to challenge The Miz was Dolph Ziggler, and now it's Dean Ambrose, and surprise, surprise, they were coming off main event or the world title picture. So, coincidence? We then had a rematch with Kalisto versus Baron Corbin. Surprisingly, it was a great match that was quick and over with, really. Baron Corbin got the win. We then had a backstage segment where Nikki Bella is walking and some little girl comes in. Don't know who she was, don't care. It was a pointless segment for no reason. We then had Chad Gable versus Tyler Breeze. Apparently this match was set up because of a fashion fine. Well, either way, we got a great match out of it. Chad Gable gets the win in this match. Alexa Bliss comes out to cut a promo on winning the SmackDown Women's title. As she does, Becky Lynch comes out. She's all upset and trying not to swear. And as I said before, I think Irish people, you understand more when they do swear. But Becky wants a rematch and Alexa Bliss leaves the ring. We then had the main event for the Intercontinental Championship, Dean Ambrose versus The Miz. It was an okay match, it wasn't anything special. At the end, Maurice is getting involved and James Ellsworth comes down, makes a distraction for Dean Ambrose, and costs him the title, so the winner and still champion is The Miz. Overall for this show, I thought it was an average show. I can't say it was great. I think Raw might have beat it this week, to be a little fair. And if I had to be perfectly honest, I think Raw won this week, which is rare. And I guess this will be a slowdown period for SmackDown because there's no pay-per-views coming up till the Royal Rumble for SmackDown. The next pay-per-view is for Raw. So I don't expect anything major to be coming out of SmackDown for the next few weeks. And that is the SmackDown review. And that will be it for this episode of the Sky Genie Show. Please like and subscribe to my channel. If you can, please donate to this show. Your donations go to improve the overall quality of the show, such as audio and everything else pretty much. You want this show to succeed? Just help out. Even share this show amongst your friends. Of course, I don't actually like to drive money out of people's pockets. This show will remain free for people who need a laugh and a smile. To my ad revenue, go fuck yourself. To my masters, thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen to my show. See you next time and stay safe.